Hi everyone, I'm Rhonda and welcome to a new video. Today I am doing yet another book haul because, to be honest, have you even met me? I do have a little bit of a book buying problem and I won't stop doing it. I really need to go on a book buying ban, but I know I'm not going to stick to it, so why set myself up for failure if I know I'm not going to be able to accomplish it? But I do have 30 books to talk about today. The last book haul I did like did I do a book haul? Okay, so last month I know I did a just opening book mail video, which is technically a book haul. And then I did a cozy book shopping vlog in August. And maybe in, what month are we in? We're in November. And I know I did a huge book haul, I think this summer. So anyway, I have 30 books to go over. Let's just go ahead and dig right in. First up, let's talk about the 2 books that I got from Book of the Month. This is not sponsored, but I do have a code for you guys where you can get your first month for only $5, and then you can cancel anytime after that. So you're not locked into some kind of contract. You can get that first book for $5 and try it out. And if you don't like it, you can just cancel it, no problem. But I've been with them for about a year and I've really liked it. I've enjoyed a lot of the books I've gotten because I have found some 5 stars that way, and it's also introduced me to some new authors that I may not have already read. Okay, the first book that I got is P.S. I Hate You by Lauren Connolly. It says 2 X's, 8 destinations, love travels fast. And I believe this is about a woman whose brother dies and she needs to complete some task for him. I don't remember what it was, but she has to travel with her brother's best friend. And they also have a history. Apparently they used to date and he broke her heart. So this is obviously probably a romance, and it sounds really cute. It has some really good reviews on Goodreads, so I can't wait to get started into this one. The next book I got is Pictures of You by Emma Gray, and I have another book of hers in my book pile that I will talk about soon, but this one I think is just a not literary fiction, but just women's fiction, a contemporary fiction. It says, what would you do if you could start over? Imagine having a second chance with the one you never forgot. Apparently her husband died and they were in a car crash together, but she can't remember her husband. And the only person who can help her piece her past together is her high school best friend, Drew Kennedy. So there might be a little bit, I don't know if there's going to be a romance in here or not, but obviously she's dealing with some selective amnesia, and I just think this is going to be an emotional read, and it's another book that I can't wait to read, which is going to be a common theme whenever I go through these books. And then I got my Book of the Month bookmark, and it says, I'll just wait here. So with my Book of the Month box out of the way, I'm just going to start grabbing. This first one is This Time Tomorrow by Emma Stroud, and I think this is kind of a time travel. I think our main character goes back in time to 1996, and she's reliving her 16th birthday. I just read the back of the book real quick, and it's about this woman who's I think it's on the eve of her 40th birthday. Her life isn't going great. Her dad is really sick, and something happens where she kind of time travels to her 16th birthday, and she is in her adolescent body. Her father is doing very well. He's healthy, and so she's just spending a moment in that time. So this is another book that I think is just going to be really emotional for me. My mom died when I was 12, so it's been my brother, my dad, and me for about 33 years. So I do have a closer relationship to my father, and he's getting older, and so it's sad to see. And I know that this is just going to kind of hit home, having to read about a father who's getting older. And also too, in case you don't know, I do love time travel books and time loop books, so I think I'm gonna enjoy this one. These next 4 books are books that I've already read. The first up is A Grim Reaper's Guide to Catching a Killer by Maxi Dara. I went over this in my October reading wrap up. This one is a modern take on the Grim Reaper idea, and the main character, she's an adult, she's pregnant, and she works in a corporation where there's other Grim Reapers. So they kind of took the Grim Reaper idea and turned it into a corporate job. I found it fascinating, but she is in charge of taking the soul of this teenager. The only kicker is he doesn't want to be transported to the afterlife. He needs her help to find this murder, or else he won't let her transport him. The problem is that I think there's only like 40 days that she has to transport him to the afterlife. Otherwise, he gets stuck on Earth as a ghost, which is very, very bad. So I enjoyed this. I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was really cute. I love the modern twist to it, and I thought it was interesting. Also, too, this is book 1 of a series, and I do want to keep reading this series because I thought it was good. I also read The Off-Limits Rule by Sarah Adams, and I gave this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. I felt like this is where Sarah Adams kind of got her voice and kind of latched onto the quirky character idea. So this is part of the 4 books that are being re-released by a major publisher after Sarah Adams was picked up by Dell. She previously independently published this one as well as those other books. And there's only one other book that came out, and I did just read that one. But this one was really cute. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. The next book is Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. And this actually just came out not that long ago, I think last week. And you better believe I drove around several stores until I found this, and I read it the same day. And all I'm going to say is if you want to know how to do a hate to love contemporary romance book, then look no further, because this is Teddy and Gus's story, and this is the 3rd book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. And as I mentioned, this is hate to love, but these 2 people do not like each other. They haven't liked each other since the beginning. They're like oil and water. They just do not mix, and it was good. That's all I'm going to say. But if you like small town cowboy romances, if you enjoy Chestnut Springs, then you'll probably like this too. It was spicy. I didn't mind it, but so good. Also, I got Frida McFadden's The Boyfriend. Frida McFadden, as some of you know, she writes a lot of thrillers. They're easy to read, popcorn thrillers. For the most part, I have enjoyed them. Here lately, I haven't enjoyed them as much. My favorite series is the Housemaid series, for at least the first 2 books. The 3rd one I did not enjoy. Don't read that one. That one was a waste of money. But this one is about a woman who kind of has terrible luck with men. However, she meets a guy and he seems perfect. He's a doctor. He seems to be into her, but just some things aren't adding up. And then a friend of hers is murdered in her apartment, and she begins to suspect that maybe the guy she's seeing might be responsible for her death. So that's what this book is about. I read this one this month. I did read this one this month as well as Lost and Lassoed, and I'll do a full review in my November wrap up. But this is the other book that I got. And then the next book I got is a book that I've seen everywhere, and I'm sure you guys are gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. And I wasn't going to read it because I feel like I'm too old for it, but I've been curious, and that is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. This one is kind of, the way I've heard it described is kind of like just a dramatic Gossip Girl, where it's full of toxic characters, and I'm curious about it. So I did not buy the entire series. I just bought this one book, and we'll see if I like it. I've heard the Daisy Hates books are better than this one, but I'm gonna give it a go just because I'm so curious about it. And also, I think I got this half off at the Barnes & Noble half off table, where you buy one, get the other half off. So it was on sale. So I'm gonna try it and see. I don't know when I'll get to it, but I'm curious. Next up is The Sweet Spot by Trish Dollar. This is the 2nd book, I believe, in a series that she's written. I read the 1st book in the series called The Float Plan this summer, and I really, really, truly enjoyed it. It ripped my heart out. And I think the next 2 books were about her sisters. I got the 3rd book thinking it was the 2nd book, but no, it's the 3rd book. So this one is the 2nd book. It's going to follow one of the sisters from the main character in the 1st book. And I really don't know anything about it. So apparently she gets fired for something she doesn't do. She's a single mom. She gets a job on this lake, and there's a handsome man who's reclusive, and he's going to help her with her job. I don't know, but it sounds good, and I really enjoyed that 1st book, so I think this will be good too. All right, next up is The Temporary Roomie by Sarah Adams. I bought this one last Tuesday. That's when this came out, and I've already read it, but this is the last book in a little interconnected series that also includes this one. You can read them out of order. I don't feel like you really need to read them in order, but I did just because this came out first. But this one is about Lucy, who is a hairdresser, and this one is about Jess, who owns a salon where Lucy works. So she's her best friend as well as her boss. And then the guy in this book is Lucy's brother. So Lucy's brother has an extra room to spare, and Jess finds herself pregnant, and the father wants something to do with her or the baby. And her home, I think there's mold or something, and she needs a place to stay because she obviously can't stay in the home. And so Drew offers up his home for her to stay. And they don't get along. This is another hate to love. Like I said, I already read it. I'll do the full wrap up in November, but this is the other book that I got. And then the same time that I got this one, I also picked up This Will Be Fun by E.B. Asher. This is the Barnes & Noble book club pick for, I think, fantasy. I don't know if it's YA fantasy, but basically this is a story about a group of people who kind of, in a fantasy world, saves a realm, and this is set 10 years later, and you're kind of following them 10 years after the fact of saving this realm. How are their lives? How much have they changed? What are their relationships with each other? So it sounded interesting, and this one was on the 50% off table where you buy one, get one free, and I couldn't find another book that I wanted. So the guy who was checking me out suggested this one, and I went ahead and got it just because it was half off. Now, these next several books are books that I got from Half Price Books. I read The Nightingale last month and really loved it. It was a 5-star read, and I wanted more historical fictions to read. So I went there to pick up some books I heard some good things about. And the first book I got is The Alice Network by Kate Quinn. I believe this is set in different time periods. Yeah, one is 1915, which is during World War I, and then the other time period is 1947. And it's about a couple of women that you're following. I don't know if they're related or not. But I really enjoy the World War II setting. I find that era fascinating and that war in general fascinating. And I wanted to read other books set in that time period. So I got this one to read. And then I also got The Rose Code by Kate Quinn. And I don't remember what this one is about either. So yeah, this is another World War II story involving 3 female code breakers at Bletchley Park and the spy they must uncover after the war is over. So this is set over, I guess, 7 years or so, and it's about code breakers, which I love that. That's very interesting. Now, these next 3 books are also historical fictions, and they're written by the same author, but the first one is The Only Woman in the Room by Marie Benedict. This is the story about Hedy Lamarr. So from what I gather with this author, I think she writes fictional stories based on the lives of real people. And this one is about Hedy Lamarr, which was a famous actress, I think in the 30s. I think she was one of the MGM girls. She was part of that golden Hollywood era. Anyway, she was named, I think, one of the most beautiful women in the world. But what people don't know about her is she actually was an inventor. She was very smart. And she did not invent Wi-Fi, but she discovered or invented frequency hopping, which is used in Wi-Fi today. And it's used in, I think, Bluetooth and GPS. So it was a very important discovery. And so this is just about her life, and I guess her inventions. But it is a kind of a fictional story that's loosely based on her life. So I think this author is kind of like Gregory Philippa, where she wrote historical fictions about like Anne Boleyn and some others like her. Very similar with this. This one's just about Hedy Lamarr. And then the next book is Carnegie's Maid, and this is about an Irish maid who worked for Andrew Carnegie, and it just says the mesmerizing tale of the woman who inspired an American dynasty. So it inspired Andrew Carnegie's transformation from ruthless industrialist to the world's first true philanthropist. So this sounded good, so I got that one. And then finally, I've been wanting to pick this up for a while, and that is The Personal Librarian. And this one is about J.P. Morgan's personal librarian, Bella DaCosta Green, and she is a Black American woman who is forced to hide her true identity and pass as a white woman in order to leave a lasting legacy that enriched our nation. So this is her story. Sounds fascinating, and I cannot wait to read that book. And then the next book I purchased from Half Price Books is Georgie All Along by Kate Claiborne. And this is a book that I would grab to purchase, and then I would always put it back just because, like, oh, I have plenty of other books. I'll just get this another time. So I would grab it to buy it and then put it back, and I did that several times. I went ahead and got it. I don't remember what it's about. It says, a longtime personal assistant, Georgie Mulcahy, I don't know, has made a career out of putting others before herself. Something happens, and she ends up leaving her job in LA and going back to her hometown. And she comes across her old diary that she wrote as a kid, and it's filled with possibilities she once imagined. To an overwhelmed Georgie, the diary's simple. Small-scale ideas are a lifeline, a guidebook for getting started on a new path. Georgie's plans hit a snag when she comes face-to-face with an unexpected roommate, Levi Fanning, one-time town troublemaker and current town hermit. But this quiet, grouchy man is more than just his reputation, and he offers to help Georgie with her quest. As the two make their way through her wish list, Georgie begins to realize that what she truly wants might not be in the pages of her diary after all, but right by her side. If only they can both find a way to let go of the past that holds them back. So apparently this is going to be an emotional book, but it sounds really, really cute. Next book I got, I think I got this one from Amazon, but it's Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler, and I don't remember what it's about, but I love the simplistic cover with the woman's face and the flowers growing up. This one, I want to say it's just like a women's fiction, might be a little bit of a romance, and I don't know a whole lot about what this is about. I think it's about a woman who is in a relationship with someone who she deeply loves, but he may not treat her the best, and so it's tough. So it's tackling just that relationship issues with someone who does not support you. And also, I think it also touches on grief and mental health. And I just felt like I would really enjoy this. And I think this is like a literary fiction, and I don't read a ton of it just because I feel stupid when I read those. And I felt like this is one that I might be able to read. So I picked this one up from Amazon. And then also another historical fiction is The Spectacular by Fiona Davis. A friend of mine read this book and really loved it. But this is about a girl who graduates from high school in the 1950s. Yeah, 1956. And she is supposed to, right after high school, get married, have children, and be a stay-at-home mom to her fiance, but she really doesn't want that life. So instead, she goes against her fiance's wishes and her dad's wishes. She goes to New York City to try out for the Radio City Music Hall's Rockettes. And I love that idea of putting yourself first and not falling into what's expected of you, but doing what you want to do as a young woman. So the friend that read this gave it, I want to say a 4 or a 5 star. She enjoyed it, and it sounds like something I might enjoy. The little blurb just says, a thrilling story about love, sacrifice, and the pursuit of dreams set amid the glamour and glitz of Radio City Music Hall in its mid-century heyday. Sounds great. I think I kind of want to read this in December just because of the Christmas Spectacular with the Rockettes. I feel like this would really fit in. So I can't wait to read this. Okay, so since I said I want to read this in December, let's stick with some holiday books that I purchased. First up, A Season for Second Chance by Jenny Bayless. Actually, I have two books by Jenny Bayless. I don't remember what this one is about. Says a charmingly quirky seaside town offers a recently separated restaurateur a fresh start and possibly a new lease on life. So this is just a little holiday romance. And then the other one by Jenny Bayless is The 12 Dates of Christmas. The little blurb says, one woman, 12 Mr. Rights, what could go wrong? A lot, actually. Okay, so this one is about a woman whose friend signs her up at a dating agency. And so she has 12 dates with 12 different men, and it says each new date is more disastrous than the one before, and the whole town, this little small town in England, is keeping tabs on her misadventures. So this sounds like it'll be a cute, funny read. I'm sure there's a romance. Obviously, there's going to be a romance in here too. And then by Emily Stone. Okay, so Emily Stone, from what I gather, yeah, they're romances, but I feel like they're more kind of like women's fiction. And they're more emotional. There's more depth to them. First one I got is Always in December. It says, a chance encounter during the holiday season brings two people together and then quickly tears them apart. But fate intervenes again and again in this romantic debut in the tradition of Me Before You. Oh, I loved Me Before You. So there's that one. Okay, and the other book I got from Emily Stone is Love, Holly. And this involves letter writing. This is about a woman who every December, she's part of this organization that writes letters to individuals that are spending Christmas alone, and then they can write back, and it's completely anonymous. But apparently, through one of the letters, she can kind of determine where they live, and that letter actually hits kind of home. So she's on a trek to find the mystery of this, I think. I don't know. Sounds good. I love books with letter writing, so this is something that I will enjoy. And then the last holiday book, I think, is One Day in December by Josie Silver. I don't remember what this one is about. It says 2 people, 10 chances, 1 unforgettable love story. I'm gonna have to read this to you. It says, Lori is pretty sure love at first sight doesn't exist anywhere but in the movies, but through a misted up bus window, one snowy December day, she sees a man who she knows instantly is the one. Their eyes meet, there's a moment of pure magic, and then her bus drives away. And certain they're fated to find each other again, Lori spends a year scanning every bus stop and cafe in London for him, but she doesn't find him, at least not when it matters. Instead, they apparently reunite at a Christmas party where her best friend introduces her new boyfriend to Lori. and his name is Jack, and he's the man from the best, as fate would happen. And then her best friend Sarah introduces her new boyfriend to the main character. His name is Jack, and apparently he's the man from that bus stop. So what follows for Lori, Sarah, and Jack is 10 years of friendship, heartbreak, and missed opportunities, roads not taken, and destinies reconsidered. One Day in December is a joyous, heartwarming, and immensely moving love story to escape into, and a reminder that fate takes inexplicable turns along the route to happiness. Okay, and it's also a Reese's Book Club. This sounds amazing. All right, this is a newer release. It's called Love Story by Lindsay Kelk. And she is a small town school teacher. He's a hotshot creative director. Together, it's hate at first sight. From what I gather, not only is she a teacher by day, but at night, she's this mysterious romance author that everyone's trying to figure out who she is in real life. And also, too, her fans are anticipating the new release of her latest spicy romance. And apparently, she needs this guy's help because she lost her laptop, and somehow he has to help her, and they end up in a one-bed cottage. So I'm not sure how that correlates, but sounds interesting, so why not? Okay, and then earlier I mentioned I have another Emma Gray book that I was going to go over later. It's now later, and that book is The Last Love Note, and I've heard that this is so good, and I believe this is a debut novel. It's supposed to be a tearjerker. This one is about a woman who, I guess her husband has recently passed away, and she is now a single mom to their 5-year-old, and she's having to raise him and is dealing with the grief of losing her husband. And apparently she's on this flight, and it gets diverted to a small beach town in Australia, where while she's there, she's just, again, dealing with the grief of her husband. But I'm assuming she meets someone while she's there, and so she's trying to understand these feelings for this new person as she's dealing with grief. I don't know for sure, but I do know, I think this is her debut novel, and everything on the back says it is a tearjerker. And then also, one of my favorite authors, Catherine Sinner, wrote a little glowing review of a blurb right there, as well as page tune. So, should be good. And then the next book I got is Normal People by Sally Rooney. I've been hearing a lot about this author because she has a new release that came out, I think, last month called Intermezzo. I haven't read anything by her, and I know that this may not be the best introduction to her. I think some people, I think you're in that you really love this book or you really hated it. But the back of it sounded interesting to me. Apparently it's about these two characters who meet in high school. They're from opposite spectrums. One, I think, is popular, and the other one is a loner. And then one day they start talking and they have a little connection, and it just follows these characters over the years. And I do enjoy those books, and I felt like I would give it a try. Plus it's short, so I could probably read this pretty quickly. But if you've read this, let me know what you thought about it. It looks like there's also a Hulu series on this. But I did get it because if I do like this one, then I can jump on the Sally Rooney bandwagon and read some of her other books. Also, too, I don't know how many books she has out, but if you read anything from her, please let me know in the comments which one you've really enjoyed, and maybe I can check that one out too. But pick that one up. And then the next 3 books I got is the Remnant Chronicles by Mary E. Pearson. This is a YA fantasy romance series. It's by the same author who wrote the Dance of Thieves duology. And I have those 2 books to read, but when I was about to pick up Dance of Thieves, I was reading about it some more, and I heard, or I read that someone mentioned that I need to read this series first because some books or some information in those books would make more sense. So I went ahead and grabbed this set. I didn't read the back. I don't know what it's about. It says, in a society steeped in tradition, Princess Leah's life follows a preordained course. As first daughter, she is expected to have the revered gift of sight, which she doesn't, and to happily marry a prince she has never met, which she won't. On the morning of her wedding, Leah flees to a distant village. She settles into her new life, hopeful when 2 mysterious and handsome strangers arrive, and unaware that one is the prince she was meant to marry and the other an assassin sent to kill her. As deceptions swirl, Leah finds herself on the brink of unlocking perilous secrets that may unravel her world even as she begins falling in love. So yeah, this is a fantasy romance, and obviously there's 3 books in the series. I'm not going to read the back of this because I don't want to ruin anything for myself. And I guess you're just following Princess Leah and these 2 guys. So sounds interesting. But those are the last 3 books. Okay, so those are the 30 books that I got this past month. I really need to not buy any more books the rest of the year. If not, the following year, just because I have probably 200 books on my physical TBR now. Anyway, if you're still with me, let me know in the comments which book in this list that you've read and what you thought about it. Or let me know which of these books I need to read ASAP. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.